In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly clean and detail your bicycle. Now, I'll go beyond just cleaning because you can do that by just hosing off the bicycle. But here I'm going to show you how to be more thorough in your cleaning, particularly the drivetrain, which is really important to increase its longevity. I recommend this cleaning procedure after every time you ride in really wet, muddy conditions. If you're riding in dry conditions, then I would say between 20 and 25 hours of riding.
These are the items you'll need for this job. A brush that looks like this that you can pick up at a grocery store or even a hardware store. A toilet bowl brush, and yes, go buy a brand new one. A sponge. A bottle of dishwashing liquid. A bucket. A towel for drying off your bike when you're done. Some biodegradable degreaser like Simple Green. I have a concentrated bottle, and then I have some diluted Simple Green in a spray bottle. A bicycle chain cleaner like this one made from Park, and also a gear brush like this one made from Park. Some chain lube, and some spray lube like GT85.
You'll also want some rubbing alcohol and some paper towels.
I'll show a few optional items that make the job a little bit easier, starting with this bicycle specific degreaser. I use this in place of the diluted Simple Green on the drivetrain. This is made by ProGold, but you can find some from other manufacturers as well. A bicycle work stand is helpful for this job, but it's not necessary. If you don't have one, you can just lean your bike up against something, or you can flip it upside down. However, I don't recommend doing that because it's easy to get water in the headset. If you do flip it upside down, just be careful of that. And finally, an air compressor is nice to dry off your bike. Again, it is not necessary, but it does make it a little bit quicker. Start by putting some dishwashing liquid in your bucket. So I recommend about a teaspoon, and then put some water in your bucket. So since I have a work stand, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the work stand, clamping it by the seat post. The first thing we want to do is hose off the entire bike and get as much dirt off as we can, and then we'll focus on the drivetrain. But before I start hosing it off, I want to show you the few areas that you really don't want to force water in. The three areas you don't want to force water in are: one, the headset, which is this area right here at the front of the bicycle. So there is a little gap here. Headsets are typically sealed today, but if you really force water in there at the top or the bottom, you can get the bearings wet, which you don't want to do. The second area is the bottom bracket, which houses the bearings that allow your cranks to spin. And so you don't want to force water in this area. And the third area you don't want to force water in is the hubs, both front and rear. So this is where the bearings are housed that allows your wheels to spin. And so you don't want to force water here on the side. Now, when I get my hubs clean, I let the water trickle down on top of the hubs, but not forcing water in from the side. So now we're just going to give the bike a good hosing off, and I'm going to use the shower mode on this. And you want to start from the top, so by the saddle, and just let the water trickle down, and then we'll get down at the lower areas. Again, just make sure you don't force water in those areas that I showed you. So we've removed quite a bit of dirt from the bicycle just by hosing it off. But we've spent too much money on our bike to stop there. We're going to go on to the detailing phase and give it some extra love and attention, starting with the drivetrain. The first thing that we want to do is remove all that gunk that builds up on the jockey wheels of your rear derailleur, and we're going to use our flat blade screwdriver to do this. And as you can see in the video, I have a trash can underneath to catch this because it is pretty nasty stuff. Before I scrape this stuff off, I'm going to shift into the largest, biggest cog, and that really gives you access to your jockey wheels. Just makes this easier. So spin the pedals backwards, and with your screwdriver in place, just kind of scrape all this stuff off. And you want to do this for both jockey wheels on both sides. Again, make sure you have something underneath to catch this. Now it's time to clean the chain. I'm going to start by filling my chain cleaner up with half of my concentrated biodegradable degreaser, which I use Simple Green. And then I'll fill the rest of it up with water. And there's a line on your chain cleaner, and just fill it up to the line there. Now let's get the chain clean. And typically I go about 30 revolutions, so just put your chain cleaner on your chain, spin the pedal backwards, about 30 revolutions. Now we're going to get the chain rings clean, and I'm going to do this by spraying my degreaser onto the chain rings. And then I'm going to spray some on my brush. This is my gear brush. And then just go around, spin the cranks backwards, and just scrub them off, and you want to do both sides. And obviously if you have more than one chain ring, do those as well. And now we're going to do the cassette, and by the way, I'm leaving the chain cleaner on my chain and also on my front chain ring while I do this. So I can spray Simple Green on here, but I love this stuff from ProLink, this foaming citrus degreaser, so I'm going to use this stuff. So whether you use your biodegradable degreaser or a bicycle specific degreaser, take your gear brush and then just scrub them off. And the nice thing about these gear brushes is they have this side too that you can put between your teeth. So if you have some stuff in there that's really caked in there or some mud, you can get clean between the teeth of your cogs with this. Now it's time to hose off our drivetrain. I'm going to shift down just a few cogs, kind of put it there in the middle, and I'm going to clean the chain first, wash off the chain first. And I'm using the jet mode on my nozzle. Also using the jet mode, I'm going to get the cogs cleaned off. So just spraying off all that degreaser that was on there. And now let's get the chain ring washed off. And I like this cone mode, so just find a mode that works best. Shower, some kind of cone mode. Again, just make sure you don't force water into your bottom bracket. Make sure you do both sides. And that is a clean drivetrain. First start with this brush, and we're going to just dip it in our bucket and get the tires and the pedals. So I just go around both sides, both the front and the rear tire. And when I do this, I try to get the tire and also the rim. With the same brush, dipping in your soapy water, do the pedals, both sides. To clean your derailleurs, you're going to spray them with your biodegradable degreaser, and then use this same brush, and then just kind of go around gently and clean the body of the rear derailleur. And if you have a front derailleur, do the same thing. Now it's time to get the frame cleaned. So with the same bucket, with your sponge, just take it and go around the entire bike. You can do your saddle, and then just go around the frame and get all the areas that you can with the sponge. Also want to get your cranks. Now we're going to take our toilet bowl brush, the brand new one that you bought, and just get the hard to reach places of the frame. So just kind of go around those areas that you couldn't get with the sponge, and just get those areas with your brand new toilet bowl brush. And also with the toilet bowl brush, you can get your hubs. So you just kind of want to spin the wheel around a little bit and get inside both the front and rear hubs like that. With the shower mode of your hose, we're going to hose the whole thing off, starting from the top and just working our way down. Get the wheels, spin them. Just get all that soap off, and you'll have some more dirt probably fall off as you do this. And I just want to mention one more time to not force water in your headset, your bottom bracket, or your hubs. Just let the water trickle down gently over those areas. Now it's time to get it dry, and we're going to take our towel and just wipe everything down really good. And if you want to have a separate towel for your chain, I'm going to use the air compressor. If you don't have an air compressor, you may want to get a separate towel because you still can get some grease on your clean towel. Now we're going to use our air compressor and blast water out of areas that are hard to reach with the towel. For instance, the chain and some of our hex bolts like around the stem and the handlebars. Also get your cogs. And get the rear derailleur, pedals, under the saddle, and get inside your hex bolts like around your water bottle cages and your stem. and just get this water out that kind of accumulates as you wash the bike. And then you can get your hubs, your rims, and then just go around the whole bike and just air it off, get any remaining water off. It's time to lube up the bicycle, and we're going to start with the chain. Use your bicycle specific chain lube like this Rock and Roll Gold Lube. Spin the pedal backwards and then just let it drip on the chain. I like to get both sides of the chain. Make sure you get the pins on both sides. Some people get real meticulous about this and drip a drop of lube on every single link of your chain. If you want to do that, you can. I'm usually in too big of a hurry to do that, so I just spin it backwards and do it like this. We're going to lube our derailleurs with the spray lube. I like GT85, and just kind of get right around the pivots of your derailleurs. You can go from this side and you can go around from the other side. I put spray lube on my pedals. I take the straw off and then spin the pedals and spray them down. The final step is with our rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. Just pour some on the paper towel and we're going to get a final few spots. The first thing that we want to do is get our braking surfaces. So if you have disc brakes, do this on your disc brakes. If you have rim brakes, do this on your rims. So again, with the rubbing alcohol and the paper towel, just spin the wheel with your hand on the wheel. Do not spin this freely with disc brakes. Otherwise, you will eventually lose a finger. I can promise you that. So very carefully, just with your hand on the wheel, spin the wheel backwards and get the rotors clean with your paper towel and your rubbing alcohol. If you are cleaning a mountain bike, you'll also want to put some rubbing alcohol on a clean paper towel and clean off the stanchion tubes of your fork and the shaft of your rear shock if you have full suspension. Now, if you do your air sleeve maintenance on your shock and change the oil in your fork or send it off to have it serviced at your proper intervals, you do not need to put any kind of lube on the stanchion tubes. In fact, that can actually attract dirt. So just by cleaning these off regularly, and this is actually something you should do more than the 20 to 25 hours I recommend for cleaning your bike. This is something you probably should do after every ride, especially if you see dirt on your stanchion tubes. If you want to get extra meticulous, you can just take that same paper towel and rubbing alcohol and just find maybe little areas of the frame that you might have missed when you were doing the cleaning procedure. The final step that I like to do for cleaning is to take that same paper towel with rubbing alcohol and just really make sure everything is off those jockey wheels of your derailleur. And I'm going to do the same thing on the front chainring. Now we're done with the cleaning, and if you have it in a work stand, you can just shift through the gears, work the lube into the derailleurs. If you don't have a work stand, just ride your bike around for a couple minutes and just shift through the gears. That will also help work the lube into the chain. When I'm totally done, I like to just kind of bounce my bike to get any remaining water that may be just kind of hanging out. I just kind of bounce it on the ground like that, hold the rear brake, bounce it around, or if you just want to kind of just do this. And again, that just shakes loose any kind of water that may be remaining. So that's how you can fairly quickly clean and detail your bike. After you get used to doing this, it should take you about 25 to 30 minutes from start to finish. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching.